Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and I'm back with another review. This time I saw Chief of Station. This is an action spy thriller drama film directed by Jesse V. Johnson from 2024, and it stars Aaron Eckhart, Alex Pettyfer, Olga Kurylenko, Daniel Bernhardt, and Chris Petrovsky. In this film, after learning that the death of his wife was not an accident, a former CIA station chief is forced back into the espionage underworld, teaming up with an adversary to unravel a conspiracy that challenges everything he thought he knew. So, what did I think of Chief of Station? Well, I think Jesse V. Johnson has been having a slight issue nowadays. Like he's not quite hitting his stride super recently. I do like this film, and I definitely think it's an improvement upon the last film of his I saw, which was One Ranger. But I can definitely see some people not getting into it or thinking that the plot is kind of unspecial because the plot really isn't anything special, and I'll get into that. But let me get into the cast. Aaron Eckhart plays Ben Malloy, former CIA station chief. He does a great job in this role. He can do the action, he can do the acting. Aaron Eckhart really is the jack of all trades in this type of thing. Alex Pettyfer plays John Bronca. He's a former adversary of Ben's. I think he plays his type of role well. Alex Pettyfer was an actor that was like a big it guy. Like in the 2000s, he was in stuff like I Am Number 4 and other stuff like that. But I do think he's a good actor, and I think he does a good job in this. Olga Kurylenko plays Christina Kowarski. I can't exactly remember what she was supposed to be, but she ends up helping Ben in about the last 30 minutes of the film, which is a bit of a shame because I love Olga Kurylenko as an action star. I've seen her in Quantum of Solace. I loved her there. Seven Psychopaths, she basically a cameo. But in Hitman, I liked her. In Max Payne, in November Man, she was the best part of that entire movie. Sentinel, Erased, High Heat, White Elephant. I've seen plenty of films with her. Assassin Next Door. Um, I do think she is a great action star, and she deserves more starring action roles. I wish she was in this entire film, but still, she does a good job for what she's given. Daniel Bernhardt plays Charon. He's basically a henchman to our main villain. Um, uh, Daniel Bernhardt is a talented martial artist. A lot of people would say he's like kind of like ripping off Jean-Claude Van Damme's style. He kind of does at times, but in this film, I was kind of hoping for some like cool fights because Daniel Bernhardt isn't a bad actor, but he's not amazing. And you kind of have to make up for that with the fights, and he doesn't really get a lot of fights in this, and that's kind of disappointing. But he was still fine. And Chris Petrovsky plays Nick, who is Ben's son. He does fine for what he's supposed to do. And overall, Chief of Station. Here's the thing with Jesse V. Johnson recently. I haven't seen all of his films. Of his films, I've seen Avengement, which I think is fantastic, and Accident Man, which is fantastic as well. I have a hard time choosing between Avengement and Accident Man as my favorite of his. Triple Threat, which was a lot of fun, and I'd love to watch it again. The Debt Collector, which was decent enough. White Elephant, which was definitely one of the better Bruce Willis direct-to-video movies. One Ranger, which was decent enough. Mercenary, which was good. The Butcher, which was awesome. Uh, I've seen plenty of this guy's movies, and now Chief of Station, which I'd say is not one of his worst and not one of his best. It's kind of in the middle. Jesse V. Johnson is a very accomplished action director. He knows what he's doing, and it kind of disappoints me when he keeps doing movies like this where the the I think the best thing that he could do right now is do something kind of in the vein of Accident Man. Because he didn't direct Accident Man 2, and I liked Accident Man 2, but it was kind of missing the style of the first movie, and the humor wasn't as sharp as the first movie. I still enjoyed it overall, but I did not enjoy it as much as the first. A lot of people said it was so much better than the first. I disagree. There's a lot of fun fights, but there's some weird editing choices in Accident Man 2, and there's a lot of really shitty humor, like horrible humor that really does not resonate at all. There are some really nice, brutal, gory fights, but still. Um, with Chief of Station, you have here basically a spy conspiracy drama thriller. It's like a million things with some action scenes. And I kind of wish this had just gone full blast on the action because the action scenes are the sorry, I keep messing with my hair. It just doesn't want to cooperate. Aaron Eckhart can do the action, but one of Jesse V. Johnson's biggest strengths is knowing how to direct martial arts action. He can do gunfights too, 100%. I'm not saying he's bad at gunfights or shooting gunfights, quite the contrary. I think he is really good at that. But some of the best action scenes he has ever shot have been martial arts action scenes. The big fight between Scott Adkins and Ashley Johnston in Accident Man. Pretty much every hand-to-hand fight in Accident Man. Um, pretty much every prison fight in Avengement. All brutal fight scenes that really resonate and are entertaining to watch and just get your fucking blood pumping. And then recently he's been doing a lot of movies where there's barely any martial arts. And it's not like I'm mad at him for this, but I think that it would be better for him, like action directing wise, if he just went back to doing that for a bit. Because I don't know, it just something about it feels off. It's not as impressive. Again, do not do not get me wrong. The action direction here is still very impressive. The fight between Aaron Eckhart and the like goons that the FSB guy or former FSB guy has, very very fun. The scene of Olga Kurylenko shooting up all the fake guys, or you'll know what I mean when you see the movie. The scene where the car chase where they're shooting at each other and all that, very fun. This isn't. It's not like this is a boring movie. It's not. I like this film. I enjoyed it for what it was. But I can also admit that there were some wasted opportunities, especially when it comes to Olga Kurylenko and Daniel Bernhardt. Now, I understand that your lead in the film, like having a villain played by a martial artist, but your main character is not played by a martial artist, even though Aaron Eckhart can do fights, can be a bit tricky because, yes, you have a martial artist and you want to show off their skills, but you also don't want to have the martial artist look like a dumbass in front of somebody who clearly doesn't know martial arts as well. But I kind of wish, even though I do love Aaron Eckhart in these types of roles, I kind of wish Scott Adkins had played this role. Because Scott Adkins has proved on multiple occasions that he can act. Avengement, I think he gives a legitimately great fucking performance. Like, actual, like, dramatic acting, the fucking fights, the physicality of it all. He embodies that character. Also, an Accident Man. He proved that he could do comedy, and he has great comedic timing. And here, I also think that's the thing that's missing from Jesse V. Johnson's films is a sense of kind of like fun. This film takes itself quite serious, and I understand it's more of a drama than like a straight up action movie, but I do think if it like let go of itself a little bit, it could have been a lot more fun. Um, I will give this film one thing over One Ranger. I did notice multiple times in One Ranger them using CGI, and here, for the most part, I did not recognize any CGI. And there is some really impressive stunt. There's some really impressive stunt work in this. There are a couple times where a car hits another car and then goes fucking flying into the air. I know it's not super realistic, but it's a lot of fun and it's very cool to see. Um, but yeah, the more shortcomings to this film. Like the movie is a revenge movie. It does the thing that a lot of revenge movies of this type that are as short as this. It's not a long movie. It's 97 minutes, an hour and 37 minutes, which is not long for a revenge movie. Where the wife dies in the first scene that we see her in. And I think it's a bit of a mistake because they're trying to have this be this kind of like if it was a like all out like action packed movie, I'd understand you can't really spend all that time or else you'll mess with the pacing. But with this, I feel like you could have waited until like 30-ish minutes into the movie, maybe made it a tiny bit longer, like to give us like a couple scenes with the wife to like help us get to know her and all that. Um the son character doesn't really do much in the film. I know it again, it's Aaron Eckhart's movie, but he still does come off as kind of a useless character. Um I know I'm saying a lot. Again, like Olga Krylenko, like you needed her in more of the movie. The movie really shines when Olga Krylenko is on screen. Again, I'm not saying Aaron Eckhart is bad. He's not. He's great in the film. He has a great presence. He can fight, and he's a badass. So is Olga Krylenko, though. And I think it would have been a lot more fun to have multiple scenes of them fighting alongside each other, gaining this kind of rapport, having kind of a fun back and forth, like in One Ranger. One of the things that I think One Ranger did better than this, Thomas Jane and Dominique Tipper had good chemistry, and I bought them as partners, which made certain scenes that I think were kind of like a lot better. And I think that is definitely something Jesse V. Johnson can work on. There's another thing he could work on, get a different writer. Because the writers of these movies so far, the plots of this and One Ranger and other stuff more recent seem very generic. When you had stuff like Avengement that was a bit more like, you know, a bit more interesting, a bit more varied in plot, and the plot had surprises and twists and turns. Um, and yeah, I wish that was better for sure. Um, but yeah, overall, it's still a fun movie. It's not. It does have some fun action scenes for sure. The score by Sean Murray again, pretty much every Sean Murray score that I've heard has been pretty great, or at least well composed. Kind of felt like an old timey like noir spy score. Um, the just a second. Again, I really liked the performances. I think they worked well. Nobody really stuck out. It was nice to see Nick Moran again. I'm glad that Jesse B. Johnson keeps giving Nick Moran these little small roles in his films. Maybe someday he'll play like a full-fledged villain again. And yeah, like there's not really much to say about this. I don't want to give anything away, but if you do watch it, go in expecting like a spy drama with some action scenes and not like a full-on action movie. Because that's more of what it is. The action doesn't really pick up until the last 45-ish minutes. But yeah, fun film. Not as bad as people are saying, but I can understand how some people be disappointed. But yeah, that was my review of Chief of Station. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door.